Alright guys, welcome back to another review video. Today we're going to be looking at different pairs of TideWe waders. If you guys haven't seen any of the products that I've done before with TideWe, I have a lot of reviews using the TideWe products. This season of the Too Many Hobbies podcast and YouTube channel is sponsored by TideWe, so be sure to use the code TMH18 to get 18% off of your order. Now today we are going to be reviewing two pairs of zip waders from TideWe. You guys have seen tons of commercials and stuff on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all about the DeepWade waders and the new Slough Dawg waders from their collaboration with MinnDak Outdoors. So I'm pretty excited to have both pairs here, be able to do a review on them. We're going to go through all of the points of the waders, try them on, see how they fit, and then we'll see what the difference is between the two. Alright, so here I have both pairs, the DeepWades and the Slough Dawgs from the collaboration with MinnDak Outdoors. So right off the bat, you can see the big difference between the two is you've got solid brown, they offer these in green as well, and you've got the 𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐸 camo on these set. There's another pair that has a different camo pattern, but I really like this pattern on these waders. So you've got camo versus solids. I think that there's a place for both of them and they're both great. Right off the bat as well, you can see the big difference between the two. You've got shell holders, no shell holders. So if you're a shell holder guy and you like them on your waders, you'll want to stick with these. If you don't really care, you have pockets here that you can put shells in, keep them watertight. Not really a big deal. I don't have a preference either way. So we'll start at the top and work our way down. So as you can see, the Slough Dawgs have this notch style suspender, similar to like most of the newer bibs. 𝐥𝐤𝐤 did these as well. No real preference between the two. This DeepWade set has your normal buckle and TideWe elastic suspender here. The difference that you can see in these as well is you kind of have this padded backpack strap on the Slough Dawgs, which I think is really nice. Hopefully it keeps them from sliding off and things like that. And then you've got just the normal elastic wader suspender here. So I don't really have a preference either way. I think that this is nice and I'll be excited to try this. What is nice about this, having the normal elastic, is that you can tighten these all the way to the back here. And most of the TideWe waders do run tall, so it is nice to keep these as tight as possible and keep them from bunching up at the bottom, but we'll see how that looks with this as well. Now on the outside here, you've got your two watertight zippers, same on the DeepWades, you've got two here. You have a hand warmer zippered pocket here, as well as on the DeepWades, and then you've got kind of your expansion zipper here, so you can open up the top more, get them on and off easier. You have the same thing on the DeepWades. Looking on the inside here, on the DeepWades, you have two inside zipper pockets. On the Slough Dawgs, you have one. Not a big deal. If you like having a lot of stuff inside your waders, then the DeepWades have the two zippers. But I mean, if you're just putting your phone on the inside and your keys, then you can keep them separate in two pockets, but you could probably fit them in the same pocket here as well. If you don't want to have your phone on the outside pocket, these are waterproof, but if you happen to leave them down like this one, water will get into the bottom here and kind of stay there. So as long as you can remember to zip these up, you're not going to have an issue either way. You've got two outside pockets on each one, so that's pretty awesome. You've got your belt loops. Both pairs of waders come with a belt, help keep them cinched up. Most of these waders run big now. See if maybe in the future we can get a little slimmer size in either one, but I don't mind it. They seem to fit me just fine. So It would be nice to have them a little tighter, but you gotta appeal to everybody, so there you go. Now these are both zippered waders. You've got the tie zip system on the Slough Dawgs, and then you've got your normal 𝐦𝐤𝐞 𝐜𝐸𝐤𝐤 zipper on the DeepWades, just like the 𝐸𝐸𝐤𝐿 and the other TideWe waders, and most other waders use this 𝐦𝐤𝐞 seal. So it'd be nice to see the difference between the two of these. You can feel that this one's a little smoother, this is a little rough, but I don't think that affects the zipper at all. It's just two different zippers on two different sets of waders now. Coming down to the knees, so feeling the DeepWades, there's an extra layer here, kind of part of your brush guard system. Keep the knees reinforced. If you look at the Slough Dawgs and you feel them, there is a little bit of padding in here. So there is a reinforced layer as well as padding. So if you're in some place that you're crawling a lot or moving around, you may like this, having a little bit extra padding for your knees. If you don't seem to care, then this is just like any other pair of waders that has a reinforced knee. Then you come down to the boots. There's a little different tread pattern on the boots, but probably the same concept. It's just a different wader, different design. They both have the elastic brush guard on the bottom here. I am indifferent to these elastics because I feel like they hold water. Once the water gets in there, it kind of suctions itself down, and there is a little bit of grip on the inside of these elastic. So it does stick to the boot. We'll test these. We'll see if there is a significant amount of water that hangs up in there. If there is, I'll just cut the elastic part off and leave the brush guard, but then the water will drain out easier. All right, so we're gonna do a fit test on these now. Just see the difference between the two. I don't think there's gonna be any difference of them in the water. I don't think they're gonna feel any different. So no point in doing a water test on them just yet. We'll save that for another video. But to get a fitment test on these and just see how they feel, the strap system, the knees, I'm really excited to see the difference between the two here. All right, so like I said, I like to just use the zipper for getting these on as opposed to worrying about the buckle and the straps. The boots are really comfortable. They have a nice padding to them. So like I had mentioned, these do run tall. So I like to have these straps as tight as possible just because I don't want them to bunch up at the bottom. But so far, not too bad. The boots, like I said, very comfortable. Not too baggy. They're a little baggy on the sides, but once you put a jacket on, not too bad. Yeah, zipper pockets for the hand warmers is nice so that your hand warmers don't get soaked right off the bat. The zipper moves nice and free. Inside pockets. Then you got your shell holders. So overall, I think that these are awesome. It's nice to have uninsulated waders, especially for the early season. And these don't bunch up too bad. Really like these. These are definitely warm boots. You have 1,600 gram boots. And even just with an ankle pair of socks on, they're a little tight for 13. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be wearing like really thick socks, maybe bump up a size. But they feel good. So we're gonna try the Slough Dawgs now. All right, so putting the Slough Dawgs on, they feel like they're thinner than the DeepWades. And for these, I'm gonna have to also mess with the buckle or the suspender system because I don't know what my setting is for them. So we're gonna zip them up. The boots for a 13 are a little more roomy. So if you're ordering these, the Slough Dawgs, they should be pretty true to size. So I'm pretty much all the way at the top here at eye, and that's where they're feeling like they're gonna want to sit. Yep, so eye feels like it's good for me. Size 13, 6'2", and this is where they sit on my shoulders. You got your D-rings. The zipper feels the same. I think it's just that they're lighter or thinner waders. The zipper feels really good. Like I said, you've got your two outside pockets. They move nice and free. And then you've got your zipper pockets for your hand warmers, which is really nice. These feel like they would be an even better early season wader just because of them being thinner. They definitely feel thinner. You can feel the difference in the knees, that there is a lot more padding. And then the boots have a little bit more room than the DeepWades. So if you're looking for sizing, they're pretty true to size. I do like the strap having that padding. If you were to go any lower on your chest, so like if you went and made them longer, these are gonna sit more in the middle of your shoulder. They're kind of at the front of my shoulder now just because I have them so high. But I don't like them bunching, and they're not really bunching right now. They're bunching a little bit, but no different than the DeepWades. So one last thing I want to point out that I noticed is that both sets have water drains in the back. So I mentioned that I didn't like the elastic because they hold water. There's 4 drains in the backs of these, so hopefully that helps. If these suction, I don't know if they're going to work that well. So this is just going to be a trial and error and see how these work. But that is going to do it for this episode and this review of the DeepWades versus the Slough Dawgs. I think that there's a difference in both of them, that you might want to use them at different times. The Slough Dawgs seem thinner, that you might want to use those more in the early season. And then with enough base layers and things like that, they'll be fine throughout the rest of the season. I feel like the DeepWades are kind of a mid-season where you could use them in the early season, you can use them in the late season, but they have a little bit thicker material to them that may help later on in the season. But like I said, with enough base layers on these, you should be fine either way. I'm going to use both of them pretty much the same amount. I don't really care about my wader camo. I feel like if you're sitting in a blind or a kayak or anything, really your upper half is what you're worried about. I think that the difference between the two, I don't think that there's enough of a difference between the two for me to pick one or the other at this time. So I'm really excited to use these this season. I really appreciate TideWe collaborating with me, sponsoring the channel for the season, and sending these over so that I can do reviews like this and get you guys the information that you want to know. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to use the code TMH18 at the checkout for TideWe.com to get your 18% off. Be sure to check out the Too Many Hobbies podcast, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.